Hey everybody, this is Umar with Close Quarters Countermeasures. So today's quick video, maybe not so quick, is about an article I read recently about increasing knife violence in the UK. And it's a little bit focused on people's need to increase their skill level with regards to defending against knife attacks. And it brought to mind something to do with systems, methodologies, and what people choose. And so I'm going to try not to speak negatively about any particular system and kind of focus on training methodology so it makes sense in it and it's something that's applicable across the board. We know, anyone who's been in self-defense, martial arts for any number of years, 20 years or so, you see a cycle. There's almost like an interest or a fad cycle to training, right? Right now, with the way things have been, Kali is very big, and not for any bad reasons. I mean, Kali is a seriously specialized and very useful martial family of arts. Kali is not a single art. Or those Filipino family of martial arts, they tend to focus on that, and their training methodologies tend to be very good. Before that, Krav was huge. And before Krav was huge, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai, as kind of a combination because of the UFC popularity, was the thing to do. And before that, it was traditional martial arts. And at no time during any of that cycle were any of those particular systems or families of training bad or ineffective. I would argue that trainers, instructors, and training methodologies are where things fall apart. So for any individuals out there who have an interest in developing useful, like raw, useful defense skills, I would submit that it's very, very important for you to seek out not just a system by name because it's the popular thing, okay? Certainly, if you're interested in Kali, go do that. But be discerning in your choice. So if you're going to look at the Filipino martial arts family of stuff because you see knife and or a stick, and you're like, wow, that's really badass, I want to go learn that stuff. Awesome. If you want to learn that because you think the tradition and the art and everything that's wrapped up in that appeals to you, it's beautiful, and you want to do that, absolutely go ahead and do that. If you want to go do it because you think that's what's going to save your life, if it comes down to things getting ugly in the street someplace, and by in the street, I mean anywhere not where you're going to have to defend yourself, but if things are going to get ugly someplace, then even along in that scope, that you need to be able to go into these facilities, these training facilities, meet with the instructors, and you're going to have to watch how they train, okay? Because what you're looking for is certainly a concept or a principle-based system, not a technique-based system, and that's pretty easy to define. But you're going to want a training methodology that allows for variables, that introduces intensity levels, that introduces unscripted scenarios, because that's where your learning happens. So by all means, you need to spend a decent amount of time in the beginning of your training learning those skill sets that will put you in a position to defend yourself. Absolutely. You have to learn the basics, right? You got to learn to crawl before you walk, right? But even in those early stages, there could be an introduction of stress testing, variable testing, things that put you in a position where you're forced to make choices on the fly. When you think that an interaction is going to happen one way and it diverges because of the change in the variables. Not so much so that it impedes your learning process, right? And that's where it's on the instructors to make sure that they know where that is for their system, their methodology, and for the students, where they kind of insert those variables, right? That's why teaching is such an important art. It's such an important skill. Not everyone can do it. And There's not one book for teaching any of this stuff that works all the time, right? Because all the students are different. But those instructors have to have an understanding of violence. They have to have an understanding of how learning works. They have to have an understanding of survival stress and all these reality-based inducements of variables that cause your learning to take hold, right? You want the repetition, but you want to be able to change when things change. So whether you're going to go ahead and seek out Kali because you decide, hey, I need to go learn how to defend myself against a knife. I need to learn how to go use a knife to defend myself. Go do that. But look around a little bit and determine, based on what's available to you, take a good look at those schools. Take a look at those instructors, what they're teaching. You know, any school that won't let you watch their classes, not just their beginner classes, their advanced classes. Any school that won't let you watch, they're probably not worth their time. Not worth your time. There are no secrets. Okay, none of this is magic, and no one has the proprietary method that if everyone else learns it, they're gonna lose all of their student base, right? Or if that's the case, then there's something wrong with what they're teaching, right? So whether it's Kali, whether it's Krav, you know, same things happen with Krav. I can tell you, you know, when Krav was developed in Israel and it was relatively rare, that pure Krav was no nonsense stuff. There were, I don't want to digress too much, but things have changed since it's become much more popular. It's like most martial arts have come to the West, and it's been a little bit commercialized. So some of that really laser focus on efficiency and effectiveness has gone away for the sake of commercialization. The same thing that happened in traditional martial arts. I would remind you that 100 years ago, 200 years ago, however long ago, you know, just plain old karate or traditional kung fu was not what we see today. It was all based on, does it work? And over time, people, us, kind of forced these evolutions to take place into these things in order for those systems and arts to survive. And it's going to happen to every single thing. It goes in cycles, like I said. So traditional martial arts are not flawed themselves. Training methodologies have become flawed because it's important at some point for schools often to cater to students who want rewards. But again, I digress. So, to wrap it up, if you're going to go look for a self-defense school, academy, club, look around. Make sure that you watch their training. Make sure it's something that you agree with. Make sure that the instructors and the other members are people you can get along with, because that's important also. And if self-defense is what you're looking for, ensure that they're setting a good baseline of technique, that they're pressure testing whatever strategies or techniques that they're trying to teach. Make sure that they're introducing variables to that pressure testing, so it's not just sequence over and over again, right? Because if you try to get stuck into the routine of a sequence and anything happens, the time it takes for your mind to reset, well, that's when things go badly for you. Okay, so rehearsed or programmed sequences, you want to try and get away from that. You need to be able to change on the fly. You need to be able to create and improvise. Okay, and then you want to try and make sure that they're doing some type of scenario training, right? Unscripted scenario training or loosely scripted scenario training. That's what's going to save your life when shit hits the fan. Okay, and then the rest of that's on you, right? It's up here. It's how you proceed into the world and how those scenarios are constantly with you. Every place you go, that creates a new scenario, and that new scenario should have many various routes and outcomes. and you need to play through as many of those as possible. And when you get good at it, when you've been around long enough, it's going to happen kind of automatically. Okay? So, that's 10 minutes, about 5 minutes longer than I planned to because I can be a little long-winded. But I hope you listened. I hope you sprung a little bit of thought with regards to your training. I hope you appreciate it. Share this. Like our page. Follow our YouTube page whenever possible. Okay? I appreciate your time. This is Umar Rasti with Close Quarters Countermeasures. Train real, train safe, and train often.